We are often confused about this word sannyasa. What does sannyas mean? Now, if you see the traditional concepts, they would say that a person who renounces the world, the family life, and becomes a hermit or moves to caves in the Himalayas is the sannyasi. But Ramana Maharishi's view on sannyas was different. He said that a sannyasi is one who has renounced their individuality, meaning that they do not operate in daily living as with the sense of being an individual. And he would go on to say that it actually makes the person more efficient, because when I operate with this sense that I am not the doer of my actions, then my creative mind comes up and my thinking mind shrinks. It disappears. Thinking mind is only concerned with the outcome, whereas the creative mind is just engrossed in the work which is happening in the moment. As they say that good dancers, good actors, they become the character they are playing. That is made possible because of the working mind, which is the creative mind. Because when you're doing something, your art, your work, you do not think that you are doing it. It just happens on its own. Similarly, for a householder, regular people like you and me, we have families, we have jobs. Ramana Maharishi said that it is possible for householders to achieve self-realization, because the work, the duties, the responsibilities that they discharge towards their families, it cannot become an obstacle in the spiritual path. In fact, spirituality is not something different. It is not something apart from the material, the usual world. Because many people would ask him if they should just renounce the world. So he would say, do you think that the world exists independently of you? So what is this talk about renouncing the world, attaining moksha, salvation? And even Buddha was clear on this, that samsara and nirvana are one and the same. The nirvana, the freedom from the never-ending cycle of birth, death and rebirth, has to be found in samsara, which is phenomenality. But you see, the ego mind ego mind is based on effort, achievement. So it sees self-realization as an achievement that has to be earned through hard work. So, the traditional concepts say that, you perform, you become isolated, live in solitude, and then you meditate for years, and then maybe if you're lucky in this life, you will get self-realization, and then everything would be blissful, and permanently you will be abiding in peace and love. But the problem is that the moment we try to move from one place to another, we cannot quieten our minds. We can change the environment, but we cannot quiet the mind. So if you leave your family and move to an ashram, you will start thinking about your family when you are in the ashram, because you will have different set of challenges in the ashram than what you had at home. At least at home, you were in the comfort of your family and loved ones. In the ashram, you will be among strangers. So initially it can feel a bit upsetting and difficult. However, if it is one's destiny to move away from home and go to an ashram, that may happen, but eventually you cannot cut off with the world, because world is an appearance in your consciousness. The world does not exist independent outside of your consciousness. In fact, no object has an independent existence outside that of the observer. So, what is one to do? Simply live your life the way you do, without thinking about future or past. Maharishi said that a householder who has tasted the bliss of the self, the one with the capital S, the pure self, the source, they will discharge their duties without expectations. So it will be a selfless action for them. And if you see that when you serve your family, a majority of you who serve your family, you do it with a sense of gratitude. You do it with the sense of happiness. When you feed your children, when you do something for your partner, you feel happy. You don't feel a burden. Unless you are caught up in your own mind somewhere, then it is different. Or if the relationship is not fruitful, if the relationship is not the way it's supposed to be, then definitely that can be a different scenario. But for those who have good relationships, they never feel a burden serving their family. And that is what spirituality is all about. That you don't expect anything in return other than the presence of the person, the people you are with. That's it. And even that sometimes may not happen for you. Even the presence may not happen for you. In that case, abide in the self, which is always here and now, as your very nature, as the peace, as the bliss, as your refuge. Because everything else may not stay with you, but the self is always here and now. So sannyasa, the true meaning of the word sannyasa is to give up the sense of personal doership. A sannyasi does not operate with the sense of individual existence. The remembrance of the self is always there in every action. And that changes the whole attitude towards life. Because then you realize that everyone is a reflection of the self. And there is no individual doer of anything. So where is the question of hate, blame, malice, guilt, resentment, jealousy? And life overall becomes a relatively peaceful experience. Peaceful most of the times. Yes, there will be moments of pain, but the pain never becomes suffering in horizontal time. So yes, it is possible for a householder, for a regular people like you and me, to experience this peace, to experience this bliss, provided you are able to look at life with a different attitude. The attitude that I am just an instrument through which the impersonal energy is functioning. And my job is only to facilitate this energy to flow, not to cause obstructions in its path. So when I don't obstruct, I completely surrender to the energy, to the flow. then there is no question of any suffering. What is destined will happen, and what is not destined will not happen. When this is understood, then there cannot be any suffering.